This is the Rookie Big Board Rookie Profile Series. I'm your host, Matt Hicks, the FF Educator, joined as always by John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar. And this is the Bo Nix Rookie Profile episode. I'm excited for this one, John. You know, it feels like we buried the lead a little bit. We saved Bo Nix for the back end of the rookie profiles, but he is getting a lot of chatter, a lot of discussion at this point. You know, is he a day one prospect? Is he going to have the shot to start early in the NFL? These are definitely questions we're going to dig into, and I'm excited to do it because I thought Bo Nix was an unnecessary punching bag in college football for way too long. He put it all together at Oregon, and now he's on the rise, and for good reason.
I find Bo Nix to be a fascinating prospect, and I'll just come out with it. I have a second round grade, and I do expect Bo Nix to have an opportunity to thrive in the NFL if he hits his ceiling. Now, it might be a low outcome situation, but he could do it, Matt. Who is this young man? He took flight after transferring from Auburn to Oregon before the 2022 campaign. And Matt, when I changed majors in college, I wish I had as much success as Bo Nix did from moving north from Auburn to Oregon. The fifth-year senior ended up establishing an NCAA record with 61 career starts. Matt, that might be like Joe DiMaggio's 57-game hitting streak. That might never be broken because between COVID, red shirt, a season that doesn't count, 61 starts is simply amazing at the college level. In 2023, last year, Matt, he smashed. He set an Oregon single season record with a 71.9 completion percentage. He passed for 4,508 yards. And this stat still blows my mind. We said it before on the Senior Bowl preview series. He posted a 45-3 touchdown to interception ratio. Matt, that's just silly. We might never see something like that again, literally. How good was he? In a conference with Caleb Williams and Michael Penix, Bo Nix was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year, first team All Pac-12, and Heisman Trophy finalist. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers and the success on the field. In 2022, he ranked 12th in the nation in total yards per game, 315.6. He had 44 total touchdowns, 29 passing, 14 rushing, and 1 receiver. Third team All Pac-12 PFF, Walter Camp Player of the Year, and Maxwell Award semifinalist. What I did, Matt, in early January, I went back and watched some games at Auburn because I wanted to see how much he grew. How much did he advance as a passer? And looking back in 3 seasons for the Tigers, he passed for 7,251 yards, rushed for 869, and had 57 total touchdowns. He's not as poor of a passer as the narrative would tell you out there. He earned a bachelor's degree from Auburn, so this is a young man who did a lot. We go back to 2020. SEC academic honor roll, and he was third team all SEC quarterback. But let's go back to his first year as a true freshman in 2019. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year and SEC first year academic honor roll. Matt, he was a 5-star prospect in high school. He set Alabama career records for total offense with more than 12,000, 161 total touchdowns, 127 passing, and 34 rushing. Matt, he improved tremendously at Oregon over the past 2 years. You've studied him on film. What does the tape tell you?
Yeah, there's a lot to like when you flip on the Bo Nix tape. So let's go ahead. Let's start with his arm talent, right? Because that seemed to be a big point of discussion. Does he have the biggest arm in the class? No. Does he have enough NFL arm talent to get by and be successful? Yes, absolutely. We get over fixated on these rocket arms when NFL quarterbacks don't need to be able to throw the ball 50, 60 yards consistently, right? But with Bo Nix, you have somebody who displays the ability to adjust velocities well. I think he puts good touch on his ball as he gets through the deep field. And I think in the mid and short field, you see good velocity on that ball. For me, John, velocity, it speaks just as much. If you can get that velocity through the midfield, it speaks just as much as somebody who can throw the ball 50 yards downfield, each and every time out. So arm talent for me, check. Accuracy, I like his accuracy as well. He hits his targets really consistently in the short and midfield. You talked about the stats, they definitely back that up. I like Nix's ability to adjust arm angles to find open throwing lanes. He doesn't do it in the Pat Mahomes way. He doesn't do it to the same level as Caleb Williams. But watch Bo Nix's tape over time. You'll see he's creative with his arm angles, and he takes advantage of that kind of new age style and approach to the quarterback position. In terms of his athleticism, John, I think it's really understated. Folks will forget, if you go back to Auburn Bo Nix, his athleticism was really leaned into early on in his career. And that inability to properly use that athleticism was one of his biggest downfalls as they switched coaching staffs, right? Gus Malzahn was much more inept and in tune with what Bo Nix needed. It was, I think, one of the big reasons he transferred to Oregon, because he uses his legs very well. But what I love about Bo Nix's ability to use his legs is, he can execute design runs, and he will, and he'll get the job done. He can scramble if he needs to, but the majority of the time, John, he's just moving the pocket. And then he's finding he keeps his eyes up and he's finding the open receiver. So he's using his legs to extend the play more than just to scramble. And I know that's something NFL front offices appreciate. He's got good mental processing and decision making. He puts the ball where his guys can get it. You talked about that touchdown interception ratio. It speaks for itself, right? So he displays good decision making, and you don't see a lot of mistakes made under pressure with Bo Nix. He takes command of the offense. That's the word for me. He is a leader of the offense. He takes command, he distributes, and he does very well doing that. He feels pressure very well. Here's my knock. Here's my knock on Bo Nix. And to be honest, John, it's a big one for me. The mechanics are inconsistent. And anyone who's listened to any of the quarterback breakdowns, mechanics are really important for me, because they show ceiling. What's your ability to improve? What's your ability to grow? You're probably not going to improve your skill set tremendously at the NFL level if your mechanics are inconsistent. And with Nix, it's the feet, man. They're jittery. They're inconsistent. He's not consistently throwing off of a flat platform. And when you see inaccurate passes, look at the feet every time. And what I think it is, I think it's hero ball. You see, he's playing a lot of hero ball. I think he learned that at Auburn, and I think it did transfer over to his Oregon tape a little bit. And when he's playing that hero ball, he also leaves his body open, which isn't going to work at the NFL level, right? So we have some release issues. We have some platform issues. Those are fixable. It's all about whether he's going to get coached up and put into the right spot. In all likelihood, Bo Nix spends his first year playing behind another quarterback. So hopefully he has time to rein that in, because everything else, John, everything else to me checks a lot of boxes, just like all the boxes that you can check if you head on over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard and get in on our awesome resources. Super active Discord with trade and roster hall advice. Check. 2024 rookie guide. Check. The dynasty rankings, the Devy rankings, and the most in-depth and accurate rookie rankings out there. John, check. So much good stuff available for just $5 a month, or 15% off if you get that annual membership. John, the patron numbers have been skyrocketing over the last month. Folks, if you've been watching all of these videos, if you're on rookie profile video number 30 with us and you haven't subbed yet, I got to tell you, you haven't even scratched the surface. I'm being honest with you. There's so much more content over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. All right, John, we talked about the film. We talked about that background. There's a lot of numbers. This is a large data set to work with. So I'm excited to see how it comes out here in your model.
It does seem the narrative around Bo Nix tends to be more negative. I'm going to try to look at the upside here because I do think he's scheme dependent, Matt. And I don't think that's talked about enough. If he lands in a Gary Kubiak or a Kyle Shanahan system, which takes advantage of his short, quick passes, they roll him out of the pocket. They allow him to look at one side of the field and make a read. Like you said, he can run the ball with some bootlegs. I think Bo Nix can hit his ceiling. If you put him in a Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, right? Your classic pocket passer, and expect him to drop back 4 to 5 steps and throw the football intermediate deep, I don't think Bo Nix is going to be able to do it for you. So I'm very fascinated to where he lands in the draft because there are some numbers here that are impressive, Matt. You mentioned the career touchdown to interception ratio. He is 113 to 26 in his career. That is absolutely silly. I love his rushing equity. He had 18% was his career rushing equity in a single season. That does foretell fantasy success, Matt, because we do love those points on the ground. He completed over 66% of his passes during his career. Now, there are some warning signs. I mentioned he tends to throw the ball short. Now, we have to, it's a very difficult kind of analysis. Dan Lenning's offense calls for a lot of short passes. What does that do? Brings his yards per attempt down. When he was at Auburn, Matt, look at freshmen, sophomores. They tend to have lowest yards per attempt. You're not going to get like a 10.1 yards per attempt with most freshmen. So we have some things that anchor it down. I do agree. Most of the film is short yardage, successful, quick throws. But there are some deep throws. I mean, we've talked about Troy Franklin. There are deep throws to Troy Franklin on tape. There are deep throws to his adopted brother, Tez Johnson. He can throw the ball deep. He just wasn't asked to a lot. Matt, I think there is a real potential to be a Andy Dalton, Jimmy Garoppolo, kind of Derek Carr fantasy. You love him as a third quarterback. You're okay with him as your second in a super flex. But what do you believe the fantasy footballer should know?
Yeah, let's put it all together here for Bo Nix. Let's give some actionable fantasy football advice. Starting as we do with NFL Draft Capital, Bo Nix falls into my 21 to 50 overall range here. And we talk about Draft Capital a lot, and I talk about this a lot. Folks, do not get fixated on the round 1 versus round 2 type discussion. If a player is drafted 25th overall and 45th overall, it's very likely that they have similar NFL grades, right? Anything past the first 18 to 20 guys are not considered, quote, round 1 prospects or round 1 talents by NFL scouts. And I think that's where Bo Nix falls. I don't think that he is a round 1 talent, but he certainly could, John, sneak into 29, 30. A team could trade up if they believe he's the guy and they want to get him that extra 5th year of the contract, or he could go pick 45. Doesn't matter to me, John. There's a real run of teams in the 40s range that are going to need a quarterback. For me, he goes in that range. He's a mid-second round pick. That's where I see his value at. 205 to 208 is where I think his ADP will fall in a Superflex rookie draft. Overall here, certainly some leagues, they could push a little bit higher. He could slide a little bit lower, but I think that's kind of a sweet spot. And that's the right spot for me because I think what you're doing is you're drafting a quarterback for your bench and that you're investing a little bit in some depth and the upside where if he gets a chance to start, let me rephrase that. Bo Nix, assuming he's drafted in the 40s, he'll get a chance to start. Folks, look at the list of quarterbacks, the long list of quarterbacks that started last year. And I really do think, John, that Bo Nix is the type of guy in the right setup, in the right system, he takes over for a quarterback who gets injured, and that quarterback never gets his job back because Nix is a winner. He does. Like I said, he takes command of that offense. And so for me, I want some healthy exposure. 11 to 25% of the time, where I would be able to get Bo Nix in that range. I'm going to get Bo Nix. I'm going to be leaving my drafts with some not 100% Bo Nix, but I'm going to be getting some Bo Nix. I want in on it here. I don't want to miss that train. For me, my fantasy football value comparison is Geno Smith, right? The type of guy where, quite frankly, every year, even when he's a starter, you're like, is he a starter though? You're just waiting, so never the guy that you feel 100% confident on, but you need these quarterbacks on your roster, right? You need that quarterback 3. I say all the time, in a Superflex league, you don't have a true contender unless you have 3, top 24 quarterbacks on your roster. Having Geno Smith is helpful, and having Bo Nix is helpful. I think that they're going to go in a very similar range in a startup, dynasty draft. So that's my value comparison here. Overall, John, I'm excited about Bo Nix, just like I'm excited about all those resources available over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. Folks, I cannot urge you enough. Less than a month to the NFL draft, less than a month until your rookie drafts start to kick off. All of the rankings, the rookie rankings, the whole rookie guide, it's updated for the Sunday after the NFL draft. You will have personalized advice at your disposal, no matter how early your post-NFL draft rookie drafts are going on over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. And as always, we appreciate you checking out this rookie profile.